that kept fighting, the Seleucids and Ptolemies, and that's Egypt.
Right.
So, and that's the southern kingdom. And then Seleucids were the northern kingdom, that's Syria, that represents also Babylon and all of that. That's Rome and all. That's really the thing. You understand? So the north and the south, and it talks to, and just thinking the idea of north and south and why they didn't name the kingdoms,
Right.
because God is trying to teach you something. North and south is mirroring the conflict that is happening. What is the conflict? The overall conflict is north, who's in the northern parts? God. Who is in the south? Earth.
Earth, okay.
The earth, right? In terms of the devil's kingdom that he stole.
Okay, that's how I saw it.
That's how he stole it, right?
He stole it, right.
So the north and the south are fighting. So in other words, so yes, the north and the south are fighting over this prime real estate. Same thing. God and Satan are battling over what Israel represents. And what is the center of it? Jerusalem and the temple. That is worship. What? The theme of worship. Back in there, chapter 3 of Daniel. What is happening there?
Worship.
He built a huge image made entirely out of gold to say, God, I don't care about what you just revealed to me. I want the gold and I want it to last forever. And none of these other kingdoms going to take over me. And not only that, I want you to bow down and worship. That's one, right? 2, Belshazzar took all the vessels out in chapter 5, drinking, and what did he do? He praised the gods of gold, silver, brass, wood, and stone. The same, using the same metals. Notice that the same metals of the image.
Correct.
Notice that, right?
Yep.
And guess what? Those little Easter egg. Those things are also represented in the sanctuary of God on earth. I don't want to overwhelm you, but just think of these. When God asked Israel to build it in, so you want to look at in Exodus, read it for yourself, Exodus chapters 25 to 28. So 25, 26, and 27 tells you how they made the furniture and the sanctuary. And chapter 28, I think, is about the priestly clothing. And it resembles what in Daniel chapter 10, what the man in linen was wearing.
Correct.
So it's the same. So I'm telling you that it's all about that, right? So they're toasting the gods of all these things. In other words, they're saying it's replacing the God of the sanctuary. Because those are the same materials that's used in the building of God's sanctuary in the wilderness.
Yes.
Everything was overlaid with gold. They used wood. He says, I'm toasting the gods of wood. What did they use? Shittim wood, and then overlaid it with all these metals, whether it was the gold, the silver, and the brass. The only thing that I didn't see there was the mention of iron. At least in Exodus. Although it talks about, the seed, this special seed ruling with a rod of iron. So, it's more indicative of rulership. Iron. Okay, and the stone, and he said the God of stones in the sanctuary, they use stone, they use precious stones though, right?
Correct.
So they use precious stones. It's not just any stone, although the stone is referring, or the stone that came down, right, that crushed the image, though that's like, once again, he's like, it ain't that. He's like a counterfeit. He's praising the God of stones against the God that came in the stone, struck the feet of the image, broke it up, grew into a mountain, which represents the mountain of God. Now, those same themes is repeated here in chapter 11. That's why I'm mentioning these things. Okay. I know I know it might be overwhelming, but just jot down some of these things. It's very important for you. You just read these things. Reading Exodus, the chapters that I mentioned just now, checking in Genesis with the different promises, is understanding that. So when you're reading Genesis chapter 12 was the first mention of the promise of to Abraham. It was repeated several times, more than once to Abraham and then to Isaac and Jacob. That's why they say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because God repeated it 3 times
Correct.
to solidify it. Almost
And,
like almost like the decrees to go back and build Jerusalem. Look at
mhm,
that. 3, 1, 2, 3. God confirmed his promise, 1, 2, 3, and he
yeah.
confirmed it again in Daniel, 1, 2, 3. 3 decrees make completed. He's like, it's established. It's gonna
Okay.
happen. And the reason why it's so important that this temple be rebuilt is because of the central theme of this, which is the Messiah. So the devil is trying to stop the Messiah from coming.
Correct.
If he takes the people out of Israel, then nobody can be there. The Messiah can't be there, right? You destroy the
Right.
temple.
And that's why I think he also holds he causes a holdup by not allowing them to go back in the first decree. And it's not
Absolutely.
until like what is it? Is it Nehemiah or Ezra chapter 5 or 7?
Mm-mm.
I think it's
Yeah.
7.
And yeah. So Ezra in
Where, where
Ezra 6 and everything, they talk definitely.
yeah,
So
where Xerxes is the one that actually gets it done.
yes, and the reason why they that his is really important is because he didn't just include the temple. He included the city of Jerusalem and also to as reestablish them as a government.
Right.
You understand? So it was complete, and it was Cyrus didn't really give the complete thing permission. He says you can build a temple. That was it.
Right.
And so
Right.
it wasn't until Artaxerxes has Queen Esther's son or stepson, I'm not
Right.
sure,
Right.
that that it happened. So he's the
Correct.
one who says, I'm gonna let you establish yourself as a people again, as a country, as your own rulership once again. Does that make sense? And
Yes, it
so
does.
so in Daniel chapter 11, this is really now it's like the in the book, the crescendo. It's the hyper, what's the word, all of a sudden I forgot the word, the
The climax.
climax. Yes, the climax. So now it's the war is full out. That's why it's all this back and forth. Before, all the other visions were very vague, right? Kind of, this is what's happening, maybe this kingdom is going to do this, a quick statement. But now God is showing you the details and the more details of the kind of struggling that is happening. That's why he's naming it. It's less about really who it is that's doing all these things, whether it's Julius Caesar, talking about Octavius and Mark Antony and Cleopatra, although those things are mentioned, it's all about that history, but it's more about what is happening on the currents and what's trying to happen is these mergers in the feet, iron and clay. They're trying to meld. He says they're trying to cling. What did he say? They were trying to cling together, but they couldn't.
They couldn't. Correct.
So the same thing is happening. Is showing that that's what's happening. He's giving more details because that's what's happening. It's in those times that it's relating.
And
There's really the focus.
I think that that is a current situation that many are focusing on just because of the media and whatnot. They see, changes. And what's the name of that place? Burkina Faso. It's a place in Africa.
Hmm.
The current leader, his name is Ibrahim Torre. And he's saying a lot of things, and he's joining with Russia to establish himself as a sovereign. But when you see that the feet are talking about a time period where nations are not going to mix, they just won't, because some are clay and some are iron. But that kingdom of heaven is still coming, whether regardless of what leadership comes into power or not. the kingdom of heaven is still coming. I just wanted to say that because throughout the course of time, leadership has risen and has fallen,
Exactly.
and we're in that period of time where prophecy has been fulfilled and continues to be fulfilled. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
And that's why, that's the whole point. So that's why I don't really want to spend, going to the details of 11. It's more